Hi there, Heike here, and I am so excited that you're here with me today on the Pursue Your Spark podcast, a show that empowers women over 50 to take back their health and strength with simple fitness strategies. Recently, I was invited to be interviewed on Amy Carlson's Toxin Terminator podcast, a show helping people restore and renew their health by removing toxins from their homes and their lives. Just by hearing this, you know what we talked about, and that it's all about health from the inside and out. I love that she's all about creating a toxin free life because often we don't know where to start. We covered so much ground in this interview, everything from the importance of human connections and helping others, to strategies for getting started on a healthier lifestyle for women over 50. And of course, we included some of my stories about ultramarathon running and Ironman training. But this is not to scare you off. If that is about your life, come and join us. Hi there, you're listening to the Pursue Your Spark podcast. I'm your host and fitness warrior, Heike Yates. And on this show, we empower women over 50 to take back their health and strength with sound fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies. Our guests on the show share their honest stories so that you'll have the courage to take action, knowing that you're not alone in your struggles.
And welcome back to the episode. Today, I am so excited. I've got with us the creator of Pursue Your Spark. Now, Pursue Your Spark, it's a blog, it's a podcast, it's a momentum. And I'm telling you, people my age, my guest's age, are all about pursuing our spark. She has been in the exercise, nutrition, mindset world for better than 30 years in the fitness industry. She claims her expertise is in that fitness world and exercise. That is really what is her powerhouse. She has created a lot of different programs, and I'm going to let her talk about each and every one of them. And I had the privilege of being on her podcast just a little while ago, and she is going to share her expertise with us. I'm super excited to introduce you all to Heike Yates. Thank you so much for coming on.
It is my pleasure, Amy. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you bet. I love your name, Pursue Your Spark. I think that encompasses so much of how we want to live our second half of life.
Absolutely.
How did you come up with the name?
A lot of soul searching. My brand went through 3 completely different changes.
Okay.
And when I initially came up with, or let's say came up, but when I initially started out going from the in-person training with clients to saying, I want to reach more women our ages that are in midlife, I need to create an online presence. And in order to reach more people, you need to speak to the right group. And I thought that my very first group was the menopause game plan. It sounded really, really awesome to help women that are in menopause.
Yes.
Now, I am not a doctor. And a lot of women that need help in menopause really need help, other than the hot flashes or the can't sleep, these kind of things. They really need medical advice. And I'm definitely not qualified to do that. And so I said, you know what? If I really want to help this group of women, this is not where I need to go because I'm not qualified to do that. So threw everything out the window, started from scratch, went into clear the clutter. And I figured everybody knows exactly what that means. Clear the clutter in your mind, in your body, in your life. And it has to do with all the things that I'm about. Well, needless to say, people thought it was about clearing out the closet or clearing out the cupboards. And it was not about health, nutrition, and fitness. So here we go again. So I said, how do I call my brand? I don't want to be saying women over 50 or 50 plus, or here's the group from 45 to 75 or whatever the age group is.
Right.
And at some point I just soul searched, and Pursue Your Spark just fit the bill because it's not age related. It's not specific to a certain part in your life where you might need help. It is something that is happy, that is positive, which is, I'm all about positivity, and that encourages people to do more, to do better in their lives and shine. That's where Pursue Your Spark came from.
Absolutely. And I love that, like you said, it's not age related, but you and I are of the same generation. And I have to tell you, I feel physically and mentally better post 50 than I ever have in my entire life. And I think it's a revolution. I mean, there's a lot of you and I are in a lot of the same groups online and in the same kind of chat areas that I think a lot of women are feeling that. We're feeling very empowered to really grab a hold and pursue the second half.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with this. And this ties also in with that we're speaking up more, that we're grabbing more of our job opportunities, that we're stepping up to the plate. And with the whole Me Too movement in the last year, it also encompasses this whole feeling of, yes, we're together as a community. We're moving forward in a community and we're stronger than we have before. We've learned from our past. And now we're putting it to the test, or we're testing it out, or we're stepping up and saying, yes, we're living our best life, and we're not waiting and sitting around for it.
Yes. And do you feel kind of like you talked about community? I feel like the revolution that's happening is that we are taking that life experience that we've gone through, whatever that is, each of us has our own experience. But we are coming at a servant's heart. We're giving back to the community. We're making a difference in the worlds and communities around us by not just, we're sharing that experience, strength, and hope so that someone else may not have to struggle like we did, or, we're helping them. We're reaching that hand back. Am I making any sense here?
I think women tend to do either. Okay, women go either one or the other way, in my opinion. They either backstab or they support.
Right.
And we're all about the supportive group. So we want to spread that message a lot more. And I think women share more. Mm-hmm. We share more about how we feel. We share more about our experience. And yesterday, I talked to one of my future guests who is a breast cancer survivor, and she shared her story. And I said that she's been so open all along about her journey. She was on Facebook in a group that I belong to, and we met on travels. And she says, I don't want to hide. Mm-hmm. I know I lose my hair. I know I have all these side effects. And the more we know, the more we can help each other, but not just each other, but help each other step up.
Yes.
Move up to the next plate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is we don't want to have that feeling like we're alone. Sometimes when we get into isolation, we're feeling like we're the only ones. I'm the only person who feels like this. I'm the only one who's experienced this. And by having that servant's heart, we can know that we're sharing that. I believe God takes us through things for a reason. And sometimes that reason is to be able to share that experience with someone else.
And also, in the same token, I think that now that we are in midlife, we can teach our younger generations from what we've learned. And we're living in very difficult times.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to help and step up. And I think we're also in that position, especially as women, as the nurturer in many households, that we can reach back to our own children or our younger people and say, listen, this is where we're going. This is what I believe. You believe the same. Let's do this together. And here's the path that I've gone before you. Mm-hmm. You may not agree with that path, but you may just look at it and say, well, she's on to something with what she's sharing right now.
So, this has nothing to do with the notes I had for this, but let's go with it here. Because you and I are the same age, I grew up in a neighborhood where we played outside. There were no fences around our yards. We all played together. We were outside from the moment the sun came up to the moment the sun went down. The moms were all a community. If you got in trouble at someone else's house, man, your mom knew about it at your house, you know. And today's society, many parts of it, we don't have that. And you had the neighborhood and you had your family. We were always with grandma and grandpa. We were always with cousins. Do you feel like we got too far away from that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have two kids. They're now 32 and 29.
Mm-hmm.
And when they grew up, we lived in the neighborhood that you described, not quite as close knit, but still off the computers and hanging out with their buddies.
Right.
And I don't see that as much anymore. I mean, we have a playground right around the corner from where I live, and occasionally you see kids outside playing, but the computerization of our life has taken over so much. I mean, it allows us, even though we're in totally different parts of the country, to communicate, but it takes away that personal touch and feel, that you shake somebody's hand or you grab them and give them a hug or you throw dirt at them as you were children. But it takes that away from our society, and not to go down another rabbit hole, but suicide rates are high. And that only shows that we are not connected as we have been. And perhaps us bringing that back and saying, hey, remember when we used to bake cookies together? Let's do that with the grandkids now. Let's bring that community and that personal touch or that person feel back into our relationships.
Just the interpersonal communications. You know, yes, technology is good. Yes, it provides us, you know, to have better access, better communication. Well, I don't know about communication, but, you know, more access to things that we didn't have. But I think many of the things this is not about we're solving the world's problems here, guys. But
no, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
We're going to come out of it really quick here. We're just going to finish with this thought. I think it's that interpersonal communication, the cell phones, the iPads, all of the technology has taken away that interpersonal communication and the humanization, right? It's so easy behind a screen to say and act and be. But when you are in that interpersonal communication, in human to human touch, we don't do or say like we do behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's sometimes, and many people have gotten off the internet for that reason, because there's a lot of shaming, there's a lot of blaming, there's a lot of meanness that is out there. And when you hide behind the screen, it's easy to point fingers and throw stuff at people without suffering the consequences, where in the olden days you got punched in the face.
Yes,
or something like that.
Yes,
you're just like, I'm fine. Nobody can do anything to me.
So, but that ties into mental. But let's get into your story, shall we? So you've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. What drew you into the fitness industry? Let's talk about a long time ago. And
it seems like yesterday, if you ask me.
Some days it does, doesn't it?
God. Well, I am originally from Germany. Mm-hmm. And exercise was a part of my life. But in Europe, everybody exercises. You bike, you walk lots of places, and you're always doing stuff. So exercise was not really like, have to go to the club or let's pick up the weights. I moved to the States and I met my husband here, and we had a son. Mm-hmm. My oldest one is going to be 32. I can't believe it. And he was born, and I gained a huge ton of weight. I was just ginormous. And I also had quit smoking just before that, because you're pregnant, so you quit smoking. Okay, don't judge me, listeners, okay? Back in the days, everybody smoked. Mm-hmm. 30 years ago, everybody smoked. And so I gave up smoking. Of course, you're going to eat more. And I quit, of course, drinking. And so you gain more weight. And I had gained 50 pounds by the time I was ready to deliver. I have a picture of myself in a pink outfit. And I thought I looked so adorable. I looked like a big, huge pink elephant. Mississippi, I delivered, had a gorgeous son, a huge baby too. He was over 9 pounds, 9'6", and very tall. But as we know, if you're a parent or if you're a mom, you when you gain all this weight, you have all this fat still there. It's not like you pop out the baby and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine said, come on, let's go to this exercise class. Down at the church, they have a local YMCA, a community center, and down at the church, they teach a class. And they target everything that we need, the butt, the abs, and get rid of all the flab. And I was like, me in an exercise class? Never. And I said, all right, I'll come with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I gained all this weight and I really did not know what to do to get rid of the weight, except for not eating or going on those funky diets. But
Right.
so we went to the church. It was amazing. It was a dancercise class. That's what back then. So now you call it Zumba.
Yeah.
It was called dancercise.
Yes.
It was so much fun. We danced. We had music. We did weights. We did some abs. And best of all, they had childcare at the church.
Nice.
So I could drop my always screaming son off, who didn't want to separate with his mom, and started taking the class.
Uh-huh.
And when I started taking the class, I was just like, oh, this is great. I do this once or twice a week and everything will be fantastic. However, they liked how I moved and they needed new teachers for the program. And that's how I got started. And my husband back then was a huge supporter of getting me out the house, having me do something that I enjoy. And that's how I got started in fitness.
Okay. So you said something that was really interesting, and I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about it since we have you on and you're from Germany. You came to the States when you were how old?
23.
23. So you made a comment about in Germany, and I hear this a lot between Europe and the US, is that lifestyle is very different in Europe versus here in the US. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
The lifestyle itself is more active because people take public transportation.
Okay.
That is a huge game changer. Here, it's tough to get to the metro. The bus is not running on time. Or in Germany, of course, everything, for the most part, is on time. So you can rely on getting your streetcar, your bus, your train, your metro. And people walk to the public transportation and then take the public trans and then walk again to wherever they go. And that the whole lifestyle, because of it, is so different than here. I remember when I used to live where I used to live before where I am now, the next closest transportation was 2 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk 2 miles to actually get to somewhere. And having that whole transportation system set up the way it is, you can not only get around in your own town super easy, you get to the next town and the next town. And I know friends who just travel on vacation by train, and they go from Germany to Italy to France, and they all do this by public transportation. And that in itself makes a huge difference when it comes to your fitness level.
Right, right. And have you ever heard of or listen or research any of the blue zones?
I've heard about it.
Okay, so they're a group of scientists that have gone out and researched all these. They've found, I can't remember if it's 6 pockets or 8 kind of pockets around the world of people who are living to be 100 years old and in a larger scale. And so they studied the lifestyle, and there's only one in the US, and that's in Loma Linda, California, but the rest are often in other countries. And a big part of it is the active lifestyle that people live, that they don't have their own cars, or, they're relying on like that public transportation and just walking.
Even, now that you mentioned it, I remember that whole setup where people live healthiest. It's also when you think about grocery shopping, it's oftentimes done getting a little basket, put it on your bike to the store, get your stuff, go back home. Many people, or back in the days at least, many people did not go out and buy the whole week's supply. You would go every day or every other day with your little basket, get your stuff, go home and cook. And then the only time you have to plan is for the weekend, because many stores in Germany are not open on the weekends. So there's a law that you don't work on weekends.
Yeah. Well, so this leads to lifestyle. So number one, you're shopping fresh, from the marketplace, right? It's more of a fresh marketplace than what we have here. And number two is the whole lifestyle is more laid back, more relaxed. It's not that work.
Yeah. And I remember when I came here to the States and everybody was like, so how many weeks of vacation do you get? And I worked for the Foreign Service. I was like, well, I get 4 weeks every year, and every other year I get 6 weeks. And everyone's like, what? Paid? I'm like, yep. And they're like, and you don't worry about your job? I'm like, nope, because the country takes care of its people by giving them the time off to actually relax and not just say, here, you're 10 days of vacation. And now this is going to last you for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect of, yes, I take 3 weeks of vacation, but I still have 2 more weeks to go. And I can actually really relax and enjoy my vacation.
Yeah, I think too many people, I believe we're making a turn back. I look at my children. I've got 2 in their 40s and 1 in their 30s. And I can tell you their lifestyle is turning backwards, to where we used to be, where it's really more family focused and spending time with the family and having that job flexibility that allows them. Whereas when I was working outside the home, I was a single mom and I worked no less than 70 hours a week and rarely took time off. Because that's what I had to do in order to, survive because, we have to keep up with the Joneses.
Yep, that's true too. I mean, I was a single mom for a number of years,
Mm-hmm.
and that was part of my fitness journey as well. And I was, on the other hand, not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I was, on the other, trying to just make money that I could put food on the table.
Well,
When I divorced, I had $300 a month to pay the rent to a month. The rent was $900.
mm-hmm.
So I had no extra income. I had no money. So I was like, I need to bust my booty to put food on the table. So I'm very frugal. And like I said, I'm not keeping up with the Joneses. I'm like, we're minimalist. We're basic. We don't need much stuff. We just need food and clothing and a house over our head.
Protection. When Nick was younger, my son, I say keep up with the Joneses, but I remember being like always $100 or $200 shy every month from just making ends meet, having the rent, having the food, having the car, type thing. It was a struggle. Oh, yeah. I remember those years. So talk to me about, you went to your first jazzercise class and that fitness bug just bit.
Yep. Then I decided that this is actually cool because I make money and can drop off my screaming son, who was really only screaming when he was not with me, off somewhere. And I started a career and I felt on my own body how amazing exercise is, how happy you are, how better you feel, how much more energized you are, how much stronger you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, this is kind of interesting. I don't want to go back to my office job. So let's see how this is going to evolve. And 2 years later, after teaching classes, I became a personal trainer. So I could train clients one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And then my career just slowly started evolving around fitness as a base. And what happened is that I learned everything. Amy, if you know of anything, I probably taught it. Anything from spinning to step to dancercise to high-low aerobics to whatever, you name it. All the fitness trends that you can think of, I taught.
Mm-hmm.
And my career just evolved into becoming then not only a teacher to others, but I wanted to, first off, make a little bit more money, get a little bit more vacation as we're talking about this,
yes,
but also more responsibility. So I became a fitness manager in a big health club, which again had a benefit. I could bring my kids to the club and they could play tennis and they could do all kinds of other activities while I was working at times and they were off. And that then turned into a career from being a manager into turning to becoming a fitness presenter for Resistable, where I developed the Pilates on the Ball program for Resistable and travel teaching other teachers how to use the ball and how to teach Pilates on the ball, which was so much fun back in the days.
Nice.
And so I wanted to explore all the different facets of fitness. Where do I fit in best? Then Pilates came along. I used to teach yoga for 3 years, and then Pilates came along. And so I learned all these things, and I coached teachers how to teach spinning classes. I was like, I want to learn. I'm like a sponge. Teach me everything, and I'll sort through where my path is going to go.
Yeah.
Now, that took about 8-10 years in that whole niche. And then Pilates came along, and I was ready to make a change. My kids were older, and I was ready to say, okay, I want to do something different. I do not want to hurt cats around anymore in a health club. And, whatever, make the club owner happy. I want to do something different. So I started really diving into Pilates.
Okay.
And I've been teaching Pilates now for 20 years. And I started out teaching and learning. It's a big chunk that there's 720 hours of training that involve getting you certified in all the pieces of Pilates equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I started then again going back a little bit into managing at one of the exclusive clubs in DC. And then there were changes, and I was like, okay, what do I do now with my life? There are changes. So then I went backwards basically into more personal training and Pilates fusion, which fits my style better anyways. I don't like to just go channel, we're only doing one thing.
Right.
I like training. I like to take things for my programs and my clients that fits their body and not what somebody has designated it should be.
Okay.
And so I went backwards
Yeah.
into the old neighborhood where I used to be. And I started teaching Pilates and personal training and nutrition coaching. And I'm an athlete, so I knew a lot about nutrition through my own experiences. But I wanted to bring it to somebody like us women in midlife, more mainstream with the knowledge I had. So I became a nutrition coach and added that on to make it a more comprehensive program, what I would offer either in a group setting or in a one-on-one coaching session that I have with my clients. And then it's about 8 years ago now, I opened my own private studio that is in my neighborhood. It's attached to my house. And honestly, guys, okay, I'll be honest. This is all truth. This is formerly known the garage. When we bought our house, there was a garage that was completely done. It was painted. It had a weight room. It had a bathroom. It even had a carpet. So all I needed to do was move my equipment in, my Pilates equipment, my fitness equipment, and start my one-on-one coaching where I moved now in Maryland. And that's why I started teaching. And I still taught a little bit at another fitness studio, but that's pretty much has died down. And I'm still only in my studio. But what's the problem when you're in your studio? At 8:00, you have one time you can see one person and nobody else.
Right.
And so I started creating what's now called Pursue Your Spark about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And so my fitness journey has come back to almost smaller, like we said, smaller living, more helping more people, but with a comprehensive approach.
Yeah. So talk to me about the approach of Pursue Your Spark, because you went in and you got your nutrition coaching. So now you're tying that in, but then you also are pulling mindset into it. And I'm huge on the mindset aspect. I believe 100% that if we're not okay right here in between these two little doodads on the outside, I don't care what you feed your body. I don't care how you move your body, what toxins you take away. If we don't fix what's mentally toxic in the head, we're taking a step backwards.
Yeah. When you think about as we are getting older, in our 30s, I used this just recently as an example.
Okay.
In my 20s, I had kids.
Mm-hmm.
In my 30s, I became a bodybuilder.
Okay.
In my 40s, what did I do in my 40s? My 40s going into my 50s, I became that's what happened first. I became an ultrarunner. So I ran distances longer than a marathon. So I've run a 50-miler.
Okay.
Race. And then in my 50s, I became a triathlete, an Ironman triathlon.
Wow.
And
tell people what that is, because you say it like it's no big deal.
Oh, it was a big deal. Oh my God, it was so much work. So what is an Ironman? People may have heard of triathlons, and there's different distances. And I also just learned swimming about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to swim. And I had competed in a duathlon, which is a bike and a run, and I had qualified for the national championships. And in order to compete in the national championships, I had to learn how to swim.
Okay.
So I said, sure, let's learn how to swim. So I did.
And you're in your 50s or 40s?
50s. That's in my 50s. The 40s was the long distance running.
Oh, amazing. I love it.
And so from there, I said, okay, I'm always like this. When somebody says, what do you think about this? I'm like, I can do this. That happened when I was bodybuilding. My girlfriend said, do you want to be a bodybuilder? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. And she's like, do you want to try it? I said, yeah, let's try it. So I was like, okay. So I became a bodybuilder. My son said, Mom, do you want to do the Tough Mudder? I was like,
What's that?
sounds great. Let's sign me up. I had no idea what it was, what it involved, what it entails. And Tough Mudder, and you guys can Google this. This is an obstacle race that is crazy hard. So I was like, okay. I said, yes, I'll do it. I became a swimmer, and I said, I'm putting all this money and time into this. I got to do something with this.
Yes.
And my friends cautioned me because my husband is also an Ironman. And they said, let him just be, it's his niche. And I said, why? I'm not stealing his thunder.
Right.
But I'm see if I can do this. So what does an Ironman triathlon involve? You swim 2.5 miles, actually 2.4 miles. And then you bike, right after that, you bike 112 miles. And right after that, you run a full marathon of 26.2 miles. And the 0.2 is important because these 0.2 miles are long.
Yes, they are. I can attest as a runner that, yes. I've not done a full marathon. In full disclosure, I did half marathons. And that 0.1
it's the 0.1 is like, you see it is like, it's just a little bit further up there.
Yes, I know.
So I decided I like challenges. I like challenging myself. And that was another way. And I haven't done one since. I'm like, I did it. I'm like, check. I checked off all my fitness bucket lists that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
I ran a marathon in 2008. I qualified for Boston. I ran Boston the following year. I was strong enough, and I said, oh, let's run a 50 miler, right? Really hiking.
26 wasn't enough.
Yeah, why not? Let's do a Tough Mudder. Oh, great. Now let's do an Ironman. And people are just shaking their head. But to me, it's fun, and it helps me stay fit and healthy. It helps me learn more about me and my body. And it helps me also, from what I learned, to put this into my clients and my programs practice to say, no, you don't have to be an ultra runner. You don't have to be an Ironman. But what you do have to do is take care of your health.
Yes.
I show you how.
What do you think? Because I can see, and I love the mindset that you have. And what did you learn? Because our body will do what it can do. What did you learn about your mindset when you were challenging yourself to learn all these different modalities and trainings that you did? I want to hear, what was it that stood out for you?
I would sum that up in one sentence. Your body will do what the mind has set out to do. If you're not in the right mindset, you're not achieving your goals. And your goals could be a walk up the block.
Right.
It doesn't have to be anything ginormous.
Right.
But if your mind is not willing to go the extra mile or the extra distance, your body is not going to follow.
Right.
Yes, it's true that sometimes the body is so out of shape or we have injuries, but that's a whole different category of what we're talking about.
Right.
But you can say all you want. I want to walk up the block. Mm-hmm. But deep down you're thinking, I really don't want to do this. It's kind of dumb. I walk up and down the street. This is self-defeating.
Right.
And so if you're telling yourself, you know what, if I can walk up and down the street once, I can probably do it 2 times.
Yeah.
Well, what if I do it 2 times? What happens if I do it 2 times? Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can breathe better. Mm-hmm. My body feels just better. Mm-hmm. And I'm less stressed. But you have to be willing to embrace your goals or your wishes or your dreams to become reality. If your mind is not there, it's not happening.
Not happening. Talk to us about kind of what are some of your top tips in collaborating the fitness, the mindset, and the nutrition around. So if I'm just brand new and I'm just heading into this journey, because I believe in all 3 areas, we're getting rid of toxins, and so can you share with us, how would I get started? What would I want to do? Or maybe you've got something coming up that would help somebody.
So first I would say is, why are you here? That will be my first question. Why are you here? Why do you talk to me? Why are you seeking my programs? And with my online programs, it's hard to say, hey, even though everybody gets an email after they get their freebie, the 5-Spark Lifestyle Guide, to say, hey, tell me more about you. And most people are very like, I don't know who you are. I'm like, But the first question is, why are you here? Mm-hmm. What brought you here? Mm-hmm. And when you know the story of what brings somebody, then you can design what's after. Because then you go into, okay, Amy came to hike it because she feels tired all the time. And then we're talking about, why is Amy tired all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Is it her stress? Is it that she does too much? Is she a people pleaser? Is she just run down because she does 20 jobs all at once? Or what is it that Amy just doesn't have any energy? So you analyze what holds that person basically back. And then you go, okay, let's devise a plan of breaking down these obstacles, or I call them roadblocks.
Okay.
So what are the roadblocks that we can either delegate,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of, or put on the back burner because they're really not important with the goal that we have for Amy to have more energy.
Okay.
And then once we sorted that out, we're like, okay, now we're looking into what does Amy like to do?
Mm-hmm.
Amy loves to run. Oh, she's a diehard runner. She doesn't want weights. So we have to somehow convince Amy that weight training, especially in our age, is one of the most important things. By maybe if she doesn't like weights, maybe we let her do some wall push-ups, something simple,
Mm-hmm.
something that she feels that she can accomplish and is not beaten down by too much all at once.
Right.
I'm all about baby steps.
I agree.
Because you can make things bigger, harder. That's the easy part.
Right.
But staying consistent and following the program, even though there will be little fallouts or like, oh man, this week I didn't do anything, it's okay.
Yes.
But get back and go again and don't stop with what you set out to do. It may take years to reach the goal of getting energy, but along the way, you learn about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you learn what you like, you get fitter, you most likely, and that's my experience in all those 30 years, you will most likely embrace exercise to a certain extent, but you will also translate this into your eating habits. You will start eating healthier foods to, as we're talking with you with detoxing,
Mm-hmm.
is the healthy, you don't need to go on a detox diet or on a cleanse. If you're feeding, in my opinion, if you're feeding your body healthy, organic, nutritious foods, the body cleanses itself. And as you go down that path, you go through a transformation. And the transformation is not like the quick, like I'll call them the quick fixes. Here, within 7 days, you too can lose 20 pounds and look like this model here. Not happening.
That's so unhealthy. So unhealthy. Yeah.
And dangerous.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say, somebody coming to me, this is how we go. And then, or start. And then you see what happens.
Yeah.
And everybody needs a little support. So we have support groups in my community where people talk to each other or can ask questions, or they can ask me and say, hey, Heike, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Or this didn't work. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions because I know so much, I've done so much, and I learned so much that I am happy to pass on.
I love that. So our listeners can find you at HeikeYates.com, and that's HeikeYates.com. But you're also on social media as well. Is that a good way to reach you too?
Instagram is Heike Yates.
Mm-hmm.
Or on Facebook, it's Heike Yates, Pursue Your Spark. So you got to put the two together.
Okay.
Because I have a personal page that's just for my family, which is my name. But for all my fans and future friends, it's Heike Yates, Pursue Your Spark.
Awesome. And you have a free 5-day Spark lifestyle guide that people can sign up for and receive. I know you have some self-care programs that you offer and a lean out program. Now, is that lean out program something you do continuously? What can you help us learn more about that?
So the Spark Guide is for you to get started. You can tune up your fitness. You can dive into if you're falling off the wagon or if you're brand new. So this is really not for an advanced exerciser and somebody who knows everything about nutrition.
Okay.
That would not want that. But if you're not sure, if you want to learn more, so the guide is your start.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-week Lean Out program is an addition. It's a 4-week program, or it's actually 28 days, where I teach about intermittent fasting, as well as, or all different intermittent fasting strategies, I should say, that go through a 4-week program. And we're tuning up your lifestyle, and we're really helping you understand how to apply intermittent fasting with simple exercises that you can do at home. And we're also having a huge mindset portion, of course, with it. So we're getting over those roadblocks. And then on top of that, habit changing. I guide you through habit changing every week that are different and that tie into with what the goal is of each week. And I offer this program only 3 times a year.
Okay.
So you can sign up, and on my website, you find the link to both programs. And yeah.
I love it. And I really like how you embrace the why. What is it? What's the result you're looking for? But why that result? Because so many times I hear things like, I want to be healthier. Well, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you, being healthier? Because that can encompass so much, right?
Yep. It could be anything. It's also if you say, I want to live better.
Well, what does that mean? So being able to dig in with people and really get to the root of what exactly is it that we're trying, because without identifying that, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, aren't you?
You set yourself not only up for failure, but more than that, a disappointment.
Yeah.
And you feel so disappointed. And when you feel disappointed, you feel beaten down and you think that you're the person who can't do anything and it never works out. And you are starting this negative talk in your head that we don't want.
I've been there. I have so been there. Food was my last stronghold. And I would try to eat, see, that is another word, should not be in your vocabulary. So I would say, okay, I'm going to eat healthy this week. And I might make it 2 or 3 days. And then for some reason, the car was always my naughty. I put naughty, place on. I'd buy a bag of chips and a Hostess cupcake and then beat myself up. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And it wasn't until, I finally got to, okay, what is going on here? Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I doing this to myself? I'm the Toxin Terminator. I'm trying to teach people how to live a healthy life, and then really encompassing what is it that I desire to have in my life. And when you do that and can realize the importance of why I'm making that choice, then it's really not a choice anymore.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Yeah, I talk a lot about this on my podcast, Pursue Your Spark, as well, and also have blogs about these mindsets.
Yeah.
Get better at catching, just like you did. I should, bad. Get rid of this vocabulary, and either you own it,
yeah,
or you don't do it. Don't beat yourself up over getting the chips. I said this yesterday. I'm like, if I eat ice cream, I'm going to own it. It's going to taste so much better than saying, okay, I secretly eat the ice cream. Hopefully nobody's going to see me. And I'm just going to be, hi, look at me, pursue your spark. And I'm not telling them I ate the ice cream. I own it. And you can see it on social.
I ate it. And that's the other thing too. I think some people need to understand that, to me, the rigid stuff is hard as well. We have to give ourselves grace and understand that there are going to be times in our life where we're not going to be able to do all the things that we desire to do. And that's okay, because 90% of the time, or 80% of the time, you're doing all those things. And so if you have a time in life, you're at a birthday celebration and you have a piece of birthday cake, so be it, right?
Absolutely. I went to an event the other day. Where did I go? Oh, no, it was not an event. I got my hair done. That was the event.
Yay!
I went to get my hair done. It was Valentine's Day, and they had these little chocolate hearts where they have the tea and the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Valentine's, chocolate. I'm all about chocolate too. So I started having a heart and a little square thing. And then I got my second cup of tea and I came back. And this woman stood in front of the whole array of chocolates. And the first thing she said, she looks down and she says, I shouldn't eat this. And she stood there. Then she took a piece and she looked at it and she's like, I really shouldn't eat this. And then she took it with her. And I just said out loud, I said, chocolate is good for you. And she gave me this look like, oh yeah, somebody's giving me permission to eat this chocolate. Yes, I just gave you permission. It's okay to do this occasionally.
Yeah. And isn't that funny? The mental mind games we'll play with ourselves.
And that needs to stop. And this is part of the Pursue Your Spark too. Is like, let's stop putting ourselves down. Let's own what we do. And if I don't exercise all week, I own that too. But step up to the plate and try and better yourself and help yourself live a better life.
Right. It's okay. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to know, today I didn't do it, but tomorrow's a new day and I get back on and we do the things that we know we need to do.
And one thing is, like you said this right now, get back on.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Amy, we never fall off.
Yeah.
It's a choice we make.
Yep.
It's not falling off, but you have a choice to continue the path you have, or you continue not to do the path. And I believe that it's not a falling off the wagon.
No.
It's simply a choice.
It is.
So then you choose to continue your healthy journey or your extra, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is no falling off the wagon. Just like I think there's no good food or bad foods, or like that we have not been good or bad.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And when we know we have a choice, how empowering is that?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, final thoughts. Anything you'd like to leave the listeners with? You've been wonderful. We're so aligned in the way that we think and do. And I know our audience is just going to absolutely love you. And I hope that they check out your Lean Out program. It would be absolutely wonderful to do.
Thank you. I would say that never give up. Keep your journey. Don't dim your own light. Brighten your light. Pursue your spark. Whatever your spark is, stop dimming your light and pursue your spark, because we all have a spark. So there you have it. This was such a fun interview. And I learned so much about toxin-free living from Amy. I had no idea about some of the things that we talked about as well. Before I sign off, I'd like to invite you to check out the 4-week Lean Out program. I only offer this program 3 times a year, and it is my all-in-one roadmap. My signature program explains the why, what, and how of intermittent fasting with habit-building strategies and exercises specifically designed for the woman over 50. A link will be in the show notes. And with that, my friends, have the most amazing day, and I'll see you next time on the Pursue Your Spark podcast. Ciao!